Justice for All with Judge Christina Perez. Joanna Sutherland is suing Todd Feldman in the amount of $10,000. Ms. Sutherland claims she lost students and speakers after Mr. Feldman defamed her writing symposium. Mr. Feldman claims Ms. Sutherland went back on a promise that he could promote his book at the event and says he only discussed his own experience and not anyone else's.
Ms. Sutherland, you are suing for a significant amount of money for a defamation claim. Is that correct?
That is correct, Judge.
$10,000.
Yes. I know the defendant from my program, Young Writers Symposium. He was in my program about 5 years ago. As an extension of an olive branch, I asked him to come and speak to my students that want to learn about being a novelist and writing books because he's done so well after he left my program. I am a literature scholar. I have been doing this program for way over 10 years. Every year I do it 4 times a year for young writers. I always average between 100 to 150 attendants, and I also average about 15,000 and up for each course that I give. It's an 8-hour course, and then at the end of the course I have the last 2 hours for a speaker that has either been in my program and gained success or someone that is notarized and people are familiar with.
Okay, so you've been doing this for over 10 years?
Yes.
Okay. Is that true, Mr. Feldman? Is she well known in the industry for her writing camps?
Yes, she's well known for her writing camps,
Does
yes.
she have a good reputation?
She has a good reputation, yes.
Okay. Tell me what it is that she offered you, that why you wanted to take this writing course or this writing workshop.
Originally taking the writing course was even before I published my first novel. So I took it and then about 1.5 years later published a first novel. 6 months ago my second novel came out. Some of the guest speakers were extremely encouraging. So it's one of the reasons I took the seminar 5 years ago.
Got it. What happened on this day then, Ms. Sutherland?
Well, on this particular day when I had him come and speak at my program, 2 hours, $3,000, I wanted him to speak about how the program aided him and helped him elevate in his career. I had no issue with him speaking about his books or plugging himself in, but the speech was supposed to be geared in mainly about my program and how it helped.
Do you have a
him.
written contract?
Yes,
I
we
do.
do.
Then I'm sure it's going to be the same contract, so.
It is.
So was that your understanding, Mr. Feldman, that if you came to speak at her workshop, you had to speak specifically about your experience with her workshop?
To give a 2-hour presentation, Your Honor, and speak for 2 solid hours about the workshop is doable. However, I was told in the contract that I would be able to speak about my own experience, my own writing, my own book.
On the contrary, I feel it would be difficult to speak about 2 hours about your workshop unless you gave him a script or an outline of what to talk about. That's a lot. You're going to lose people. I mean, after 35 minutes, people just lose it. They just lose concentration. So what did you expect them to do for 2 full hours?
I understand that he says that he was in a program before mine, but before he was in my program, he hadn't published no book. So once he got in my program and he left, he published 2 books, and now he has notoriety. So I wanted him to speak about my program and also speak about himself and what he has done. But
Did he do that?
He did it, but majority of the time he was just speaking about himself and his own success.
Your Honor.
And not tying it into my program.
So the contract says speakers are required to dedicate a portion of his presentation to detailing his own positive experience as part of the Young Writers Symposium participant.
Right, so he did, that's correct. I wanted him to do both though. Speak about your experience and speak about yourself. But the whole time he rarely spoke about the program. He just spoke about himself.
But you didn't put a time limit here on the contract, how long he had to speak about. Give me an idea of what your speech was like.
I started most of my presentation about the Young Writers Symposium.
How long did you dedicate to the Young Writers Symposium?
I want to say at least 30 to 45 minutes, but it was intermittent with my own experience, my own success story, if you will. But then every time I did that, people that were part of her group would ask me a question that would direct it right back to the Writers Symposium. If I started to talk about my second book, Well, how did the Writers Symposium help you with that? I was always steered
Did you
back.
answer those questions?
I did, but I was always steered back to the Young Writers Symposium.
so did you steer
Anytime I started mentioning my own...
Did you steer yourself back to the Young Writers Symposium?
To wrap it up...
Because, I mean, come on, honestly, you're going to her event, she's paying you. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket science to realize you got to really kind of beef up her workshop, right? So, I mean, you went in there understanding that's what you had to do.
Yes.
Coming up on Justice for All.
You should have been a little bit more forthright in your contract.
I was.
Of course,
I didn't lie in the contract.
No, you weren't.
He spoke about his book. I never put in the contract that he could set up. I never put in the contract that he could set up his book.
And you're a writer?
And later, Judge Christina Perez. We're back with the case of Joanna Sutherland, who is suing Todd Feldman for defamation of character.
He said every time he started speaking about himself or an experience, he was always geared back by one of your people. So it sounded like that's what he spoke about for 2 hours. So if there was somebody there to monitor him, it sounds like they actually monitored him and geared him back into the right direction. So what's the problem?
The problem is that after he finished, he made subliminal statements, and it also caused me to lose out on speakers for my next event, which caused me to lose money and lose attendees because these speakers that he spoke to decided to drop out of my program.
What did you say, and who do you say it to? Who did you say it to?
People have asked me how I enjoyed my experience, same as if I had gone out to a restaurant, and I did not have a positive reply because a lot of the things that were promised to me were not delivered on.
Like what?
I actually have an email that says, will I be able to promote my new book during my speech, right? And she says yes.
Promote. I did not say you could sell your materials.
I'm going to talk about a book I don't have to offer people.
Let's be clear. You can tell somebody to go on Amazon to get your book. You do not have to set up. Okay?
That kind of goes against what you do.
Well, because by selling my material, maybe somebody isn't going to buy her material.
I mean, if you're and let's be honest, you're using him because he's making you look good.
But I'm paying him, so
But
we're both.
it doesn't
it's a
matter.
win-win.
You're a big girl, so you paid him to come to make you look good. And so therefore, don't tell me that if an author who's who's successful is coming to speak at your event and to prop you up, that he wouldn't be interested in selling books.
But that's not what we agreed upon. I said he could speak about his book.
So let's talk about
I never said
let's
he could
talk
sell.
about what you agreed upon. You agreed upon the speaker is required to dedicate a portion of his presentation detailing his own positive experience as a Young Writers Symposium participant. He did that. End of story. So you are claiming that he defamed you? How
Yes.
did he defame you?
By telling other people that I hired and wanted to speak at my other event about his experience, saying that I didn't hold up my end of the bargain, that I'm
What
not
did
a
you
good
say?
businesswoman. And
Hey, how was Joanna's event? I said I enjoyed speaking, which I often do. I would have liked to have promoted my book more. He's like, you weren't able to do that? I said, no. I was told I'd be able to set up a table and sell copies of my book. I wasn't able to do that. So I didn't really defame her. I more expressed what I was unhappy about, what I felt wasn't delivered to me.
Okay, so he expressed his opinion.
expressing your opinion.
Was it false? No.
Well, yes,
Was
it
it
was false because I
fraudulent?
never said that he
No.
could set up. I have evidence of him subtweeting about my event. I also have evidence of authors pulling out
let
of my
me see
event.
what is the false statement that you're alleging. You come to court, you give me the evidence. Aside from him giving his opinion that he felt it was an okay presentation, an okay workshop, what else? So then he says, well, that's a lesson learned. Get everything in writing, kids. How's that defamatory against you? It doesn't even refer to you.
It's false because
It doesn't refer to you. It says, well, that's a lesson learned. Get everything in writing. That's not a false statement. It's true, actually. It's a very good statement. It's true.
But he tweeted it right after he left my event. And then the next day, that's when I got 3 emails from people saying that they were going to drop out of my program.
He has a right to his opinion. You should have been a little bit more forthright in your contract.
I was.
Of course
I
you-
didn't
no,
lie
you
in the
weren't.
contract.
No, you weren't.
He spoke about his book. I never put in the contract that he could set up. I never put in the contract that he could set up his books.
And you're a writer? Did you write your own contract?
We sat together and had it drawn up by a lawyer.
So, you know, when you write, it's about the details, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of looking at everything. How do you make these words grow? How do you give them meaning? How do you express yourself? Dedicate a portion of presentation. What's a portion? Is it a third? Is it a fourth? Is it an hour? Is it 2 hours? What is it that you want me to do? I mean, how can he do that every single word for 2 hours?
I never said he had to speak about my program the whole 2 hours.
Well, that's why you're upset that he didn't do it.
No, I'm upset because I lost money.
And then you're upset because you feel that he expressed his opinion and he said something that was not true. Under a defamation claim, we have to prove that a statement was published, that that statement was false, and that you suffered loss. Okay? Yes, two speakers backed out. So technically that's a loss. The statement was not false. The statement was his opinion. This written statement didn't even have anything to do with you. It's just a statement saying get everything in writing, kids. He gave his opinion. And it sounds like it wasn't a very good experience. I mean, I wasn't even there, and it sounds like it was not a very good experience.
How so?
How so?
Yes, how so?
You can replay this back and listen to yourself and listen to him and understand why it was not a good statement. Every time you start talking about somebody else, somebody in your camp said, "Oh, come back and talk about this." So that's what he did for 2 hours. You hired him to do that. That's exactly what he did. So based on the evidence, I'll deny your claim for $10,000 as I find that there was no defamatory statement and no loss due to a defamatory statement. Good luck.
Thank you.
All rise.
Judge Perez has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been denied.
I think it was a fair ruling. Write a book.
I disagree. And next time you subtweet, you better watch your back.
Coming up on Justice